Hey everybody, solar generators are hot on most people's shopping list this year if you're watching this channel, and there really are some really great deals going on right now. There are a billion questions all over Reddit and other prepper forums about what to buy and what's a deal and stuff like that. So I want to hit you with some high points as to what I think you should be looking for and things that you need to consider that you might not have. There's two big numbers with solar generators, and really only one is important. So you have the wattage, which is the maximum amount of power that a unit can put out, and you have the watt hours, which is the size of the battery. The reason why I say that wattage doesn't really necessarily matter is because those things are kind of related to each other. If you have a 1,000 watt hour generator and you plug 3,000 watts into it, it'll run for 30 minutes. As long as the solar generator, battery station, power station, whatever you want to call it, can output at least 1,000 watts, it'll run anything that you can plug into a normal household outlet, because that's the maximum that our household outlets can supply. Anyway, the bigger number is the watt hours. That is the size of the battery that is inside the unit. And I firmly believe you need a minimum of 1,000 watt hours, preferably more. Where did I get that number from? Well, I'll link to this video over here that will show you a guy who plugs in multiple refrigerators and shows that they run between 1,000 and 1,500 watt hours over a 24-hour period. I've confirmed that with some other testing that I've done myself. So anything smaller than 1,000 watt hours is not going to run a refrigerator, a chest freezer, or a pedestal fan for 24 hours to get you through a full day. So these little EcoFlow rivers that are like $160, yeah, they're cute for tailgating and camping, but not for emergency preparedness, in my opinion. You need to be looking at something that's 1,000 watt hours or greater if you're trying to actually use it for anything. You really got to think about, like, what am I going to plug into this and how long do I want it to run for? Having said that, plugging in a window air conditioner, if you're in hurricane territory, ain't happening. All right, on a 1,000 watt hour EcoFlow, it will run, a window AC unit will run for about 2.5 hours. Space heater, about an hour. Why? Because these things pull about 1,000 watts. So on a 1,000 watt hour battery, this will run for about an hour. We're getting into winter time now, so air conditioners are less important than heating. So instead of a space heater, I strongly recommend a good quality electric blanket. In my testing, they have pulled around 300 to 400 watt hours a night. So over like an 8 or 9 hour period. That means I can get 2 days, 2 nights worth out of my electric blanket from a 1,000 watt hour power station. We'll talk about solar in a second. The other option would be a Mr. Buddy propane heater. They're about $100, and then use propane tanks. Yes, there is considerations about carbon monoxide and fire and things like that. So, you know, take your pick. Electric blanket for the win. I would have killed for my electric blanket during the Texas freeze a couple of years ago. Okay, 1,000 watt hours. My channel is mostly based around builds. If you want to build, cool. If you don't want to build, the two best deals, in my opinion, which are not sponsored, is the EcoFlow Delta and the EcoFlow Delta 2. The 1,000 watt hour station is $399. It's a great way to get your feet wet on this stuff. Or the Delta Pro is $899, 100, you know, it's double the price and it's double the capacity. The 2,000 watt hour would be a significantly better deal, so that way you know you'll have at least 24 hours worth of runtime on your refrigerator, you know, other kind of small appliances. So strongly recommend that. Let's talk about solar right quick. Here's the dirty little secret about solar. Number one, you need the sun. Number two, you need to face to the south. And number three, the sun is not out as long as you think that it is. Okay. What do I mean by that? Number one, you've got to be facing south. If you are in an apartment and you don't have a balcony, or your balcony faces north or faces east, forget about solar. It's just not, it's not worth the money. Particularly if you face north, you're not going to get any sunlight. If you are facing south or west, you might be worth having a conversation about it, okay? If you're north or east, forget about it. If you're in a house with a backyard with trees on the south side, forget about it. You're not going to get solar output. Also, we're in winter time, so days are getting shorter. If you live way in the northern hemisphere, I was born in North Dakota, the sun is only out for peak sunlight 3 or so hours a day. In Texas, it's 4-ish. So even if you have southern exposure, unless you're going to be out there re-aiming the thing every 30 minutes or so, you're not going to get as much sunlight exposure as you think that you might. My rule of thumb is 1 to 4. So if you have a 1,000 watt hour power station divided by 4, means you need to have at least 250 watts of solar to be able to recharge that unit during the day. So if you have a 2,000 watt power station, you put a 50 watt solar panel on it, you are accomplishing almost nothing. You're not getting enough electricity back into the unit to be able to recharge it during the day. So 1 to 4. So that's a pretty reasonable rule of thumb. EcoFlow and everybody else sells folding solar panels. They're really overpriced. Yes, they're convenient because they're portable and they fold up. They're really, really expensive. Every unit will take multiple voltages. A much better deal is going to Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and buying some used residential panels. I bought a 350 watt solar panel for $80 on Craigslist. Now it's huge. And it doesn't, you know, if I live in an apartment, I wouldn't have a place to put it. It's a residential panel, so it's 5 feet tall and, you know, 4 feet wide, but it was $80. So nothing wrong with the folding ones. I just think that they're overpriced. So if you're shopping for deals, and the brands doesn't really matter, Ankler, Jackery, EcoFlow, like, it's all pretty much the same. You know, it's a brand. It's Ford and Chevy, you know, and Dodge, like whatever. If you hit the big 3, you'll be okay. Ankler, EcoFlow, Jackery, you'll be all right. I'm an EcoFlow fan personally if you're not going to build it yourself, but whatever. Okay, so don't sweat the brand stuff too much. Find who's got the best deal. So high points, at least 1,000 watt hours. If you don't face south or east, forget about solar, spend the extra money on a bigger battery. 1 to 4 on solar, okay? Hope this was helpful. I'll put some links of some stuff I like down below, and thanks. Catch you on the next one.